and thank you for joining us. I'm Manisha Gupta, Group Product Manager with Google Cloud Networking, and today we are here to discuss a topic that is of importance to every organization operating cloud workloads. Google Cloud, in partnership with Infoblox, is excited to introduce DNS Armor, an advanced threat detection cloud-native service that enables preemptive threat detection for your DNS queries for your Google Cloud workloads. And today, I'm joined by Mukesh, Executive Vice President and Chief Product Officer at Infoblox. Mukesh, you lead the product organization at Infoblox, a market leader in DNS and network security. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Manisha. I'm super excited to be here.
So let's start with the topic at hand, right? Cybercrimes. It is a rapidly escalating crisis. It's threatening the very fabric of digital trust and business continuity. And it's projected to drain an astounding 23 trillion from the global economy by 2027. So this is not just about financial loss, right? It's also about the operational paralysis, shattered reputations, and the theft of very invaluable intellectual property. So Mukesh, let's start with a simple but a powerful question. So what's the relevance of DNS in cybercrime in your mind?
That is a great question, Manisha. So DNS is such a foundational service on how internet works. Nothing really functions without it. Because of that, DNS traffic is almost always allowed to pass through all the security controls completely uninspected. So attackers have figured this out, and they're now using DNS as a primary vector to carry out and conceal their attacks. In fact, 92% of cyber attacks use DNS in some form or the other. Most of them start with a DNS query. Think about it. You get a phishing email or a smishing text. There is a DNS query to a deceptive domain when you click on that link. If you look at the malware or ransomware downloads after a vulnerability exploit, they also start with a DNS query to a C2 server. If you're trying to data exfiltration, there's a DNS query to where the attackers are uploading data. So if you want to detect and prevent threats early, DNS is the earliest and the most effective place to do it. It gives you this opportunity to stop threats before they cause any damage, before a connection is even made, before any payload is delivered. So that's the importance of DNS.
And that's a very critical point, right? And the impact of DNS security controls is impressive. So I'll quote a recent report from IDC, right? Organizations are facing an average of 7 DNS attacks per year. And it's costing them over $1 million per attack in application downtimes, IP theft, regulatory fines, and a lot more. So what can companies do to protect themselves against these sophisticated multi-stage attacks?
So it all starts with visibility at the very first entry point in your cloud infrastructure, and that's DNS. So at Infoblox, we use a very unique approach to this. So let me explain this using an analogy, because I use this analogy so it makes sense to people. Think about a city that's infected with drugs. If you were to try to clean up that city, you have two approaches you could take. First approach would be you go after the drug dealers, and it quickly becomes a game of whack-a-mole. You catch one, 2 more pop up, right? The second approach, you could go after the drug cartel. And it's harder, but if you take out the drug cartel, then you don't need to worry about every individual drug dealer. The city gets cleaned up because the supply itself stops. Right?
That's very interesting, Mukesh. Tell me more about this, and how does this relate to cybersecurity, specifically DNS security?
Sure. So, well, this is the difference between how we do protective DNS versus how the industry does it. So let me give you a real-world example of one such cartel in the cyber world. We all know Bitly. Bitly is a URL shortening service that all of us use to shorten the URLs. Now, attackers also need a URL shortening service to disguise their malicious links. Since they are not allowed to use Bitly, they turn to shady providers on the dark web. One of these providers is a company we call Prolific Puma. They have purchased 75,000 plus domains in the last 2 years. So as soon as their domains get blacklisted by all the other security providers, they simply just spin up a new one, and it just keeps going. That's a rolling machine. Now, most of the industry is focused on chasing the dealers. The malware campaigns that they're running, the ransomware payloads, the phishing lures. We focus on tracking the infrastructure providers like Prolific Puma, the cartel.
Okay.
And we do it using DNS. We are tracking all the domains they're buying. We are tracking their entire DNS infrastructure. So this approach gives us two distinct advantages. First, we can flag these domains before they are weaponized because we can start blocking them as soon as these cartels buy them because we're tracking it.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait for those domains to do something bad. The second thing we get is a really, really low false positive rate. It's 0.0002%. It's 3 zeros. Because honestly, what is the probability that Prolific Puma or one of these cartels buys this domain and they do anything good with it? It's literally zero, right? So we get this really low false positive rate. So today we are tracking over 200,000 such cartels, mapping out their DNS usage, their infrastructure, their behavior. So that's how we do it. It's intelligence at internet scale. And this unique approach is what we are bringing to DNS Armor. So we don't just chase threats, we actually predict them, we prevent them by going after the infrastructure that's enabling them.
That's very interesting. I love the example. And thinking about how this works at the scale of DNS, where we are processing like billions of queries daily from thousands and thousands of workloads running in the cloud, right? So now I want to talk to you about a major challenge that we hear from our cloud customers, which is the trade-off that they have to make between cloud scale security versus the operational efficiency of bringing that security control into their environment. And the security teams have been forced into this difficult choice: compromise on the performance by using the traditional DNS security controls in the cloud, like virtual appliances, or incur the exorbitant costs and the complexity by taking all of their DNS traffic, backhauling that to their on-prem infrastructure. And this is very suboptimal for any cloud service, right? It creates dangerous blind spots and it slows down innovation, right? I think that's understandable.
Yep.
And one of the things that we wanted to do with DNS Armor was to eliminate this compromise so our customers can have the best of the both worlds.
Yeah, so, and it's not just suboptimal or higher cost. Let me share something really interesting that I heard from one of the largest Google Cloud customers. They're Infoblox customers as well, so I was talking to them.
Okay.
And he said that the reason he'll never switch away from Google Cloud DNS is because that's the only service you provide 100% SLAs on. And DNS being such a foundational service, he said he can't afford to anything less than 100% SLA. So he was very, very excited about us bringing Infoblox protection right at the Google Cloud DNS, and we are bringing this together. So he doesn't have to make this trade-off between security and availability. That was his reason for why he was super excited about this.
Oh, that's spot on, Mukesh. Cloud DNS is one of our most distributed and scalable services, and we process like billions of queries, right? And the approach for security has to scale with the service.
Yep.
And today we are pleased to announce DNS Armor, an advanced DNS threat detection service that we have built in partnership with Infoblox, an industry leader in DNS security. And it complements your existing network security controls, provides that foundational layer that Mukesh talked about to identify threats at the source, our earliest point in the attack chain, the DNS query itself. And DNS Armor proactively combats DNS-based threats like malicious domains, command and control channels, DNS tunneling that is used frequently for data exfiltration by inspecting internet-bound DNS queries from your cloud workloads.
That's right, Manisha. So we are equally thrilled to bring the Infoblox solution natively to Google Cloud, to GCP customers. Now, customers running workloads on Google Cloud, they can protect themselves against a wide range of threats that exploit DNS. This includes everything from data exfiltration, domain generation algorithms, to emerging zero-day DNS attacks. And DNS Armor gives the SecOps teams the high-quality findings that they need to reduce their alert fatigue and focus on real threats without adding any operational complexity for their cloud networking teams.
And the fact that Infoblox can detect and protect against these threats 68 days before they are marked malicious by traditional tools is very impressive. It's phenomenal, right? But let's talk about the role of AI here, because that's a hot topic in the cybersecurity industry today. AI has made it easier for attackers to launch more sophisticated attacks and avoid detection.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about some of the evasion techniques that you're seeing and how organizations can protect themselves against these AI-powered threats?
Yeah, absolutely. So no discussion these days, goes without AI. So let's talk about AI. We see attackers using AI to create highly convincing lookalike domains, emails, texts for phishing. Like I get emails these days, I can't even differentiate if they're real or phishing emails, right? They're also using AI to create very unique malware for each attack, so everyone becomes patient zero. Now, this is going to be a huge challenge for the industry that relies on detecting malware using patient zero. Our approach to using DNS can be very, very effective because we don't need to wait for a patient zero. As soon as these infrastructure providers buy a domain, we start blocking it. We don't need to wait for patient zero. So that's what I see, how we're going to combat these AI-based attacks.
Mukesh, that was very insightful. It is clear to me that combining, our threat intelligence with the native cloud service that we are building, we can drive a tremendous value for our customers. And this really highlights the core value of having DNS Armor as a native Google Cloud service versus a separate on-prem solution or a VM-based solution or even a standalone SaaS solution to handle the billions of queries, the scale at which your DNS operates today. First, the analysis happens within the Google infrastructure where these queries are being generated. So there is no performance impact or there are no additional data transfer costs associated with DNS Armor. Second, it's a fully managed cloud native service. You don't have to manage any VMs. You just turn it up in your project or your VPC and it just works. And third, you get integrated threat observability. Threat insights from DNS Armor, you can easily integrate them with your choice of SecOps platforms via cloud logging. This combination of best-in-class intelligence with cloud scale and simplicity is what makes DNS Armor so powerful. Mukesh, thank you so much for being with us today.
Manisha, thank you for being a partner on this service and doing this, recording together. So it's a pleasure.
Thank you. And you can scan the QR code on your screen now to learn more about DNS Armor and how you can turn it on today in public preview. Thank you all for watching.